Bible in a Year, the Message Version, June 9, 1 Kings chapter 5, verse 1 through chapter 6, verse 38. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent ambassadors to Solomon when he had heard that he had become crowned king in David's place. Hiram had loved David his whole life. Solomon responded, saying, "You know that David my father was not able to build a temple in honor of God because of the wars he had to fight on all sides, until God finally put him down. But now God has provided peace all around, no one against us, nothing at odds with us. Now here's what I want to do. Build a temple of honor of God, my God, following the promise that God gave to David my father, namely, your son, whom I will provide to succeed you as king, he will build a house in my honor. And here it is, how you can help. Give orders for cedar to be cut from the Lebanon forest. My loggers will work alongside yours, and I'll pay your men whatever wage you set. We both know that there is no one like you, Sidonians, for cutting timber." When Hiram got Solomon's message, he was delighted, exclaiming, "Blessed be God for giving David such a wise son to rule this flourishing people." Then he sent this message to Solomon: "I received your request for the cedars and cypresses. As good as done, your wish is my command. My lumberjacks will haul the timber from the Lebanon forest to the sea, assembling them into log rafts, float them to the place you set, then have them disassembled for you and haul away. All I want from you is that you feed my crews." In this way, Hiram supplied all the cedar and cypress timber that Solomon wanted. In his turn, Solomon gave Hiram 125,000 bushels of wheat, 115,000 gallons of virgin olive oil. He did this every year, and God, for his part, gave Solomon wisdom, just as he had promised. The healthy peace between Hiram and Solomon was formalized by a treaty. King Solomon raised a workforce of 30,000 men from all over Israel. He sent them in shifts of 10,000 each month to the Lebanon forest. They would work a month in Lebanon and then be at home 2 months. Adoniram was in charge of the work crews. Solomon also had 70,000 unskilled workers and another 80,000 stone cutters up in the hills, plus 3,300 foremen managing the project and supervising the crews. Following the king's orders, they quarried huge blocks of best stone, dressed stone for the foundation of the temple. Solomon and Hiram's construction workers, assisted by the men of Gilgal, cut and prepare the timber and stone for building the temple. 480 years after the Israelites came out of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's rule over Israel, in the month of Ziv, the 2nd month, Solomon started building the temple of God. The temple that King Solomon built to God was 90 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 45 feet high. There was a porch across 30-foot width of the temple that extended out 15 feet. Within the temple, he made narrow, deep-silled windows. Against the outside walls, he built supporting structure in which there were smaller rooms. The lower floor was 7.5 feet wide, the middle floor 9 feet, and the third floor 10.5 feet. He had projecting ledges built into the outside temple walls to support the buttressing beams. The stone blocks of the building of the temple were all dressed at the quarry so that the building site itself was reverently quiet, no noise from hammers and chisels and other iron tools. The entrance to the ground floor was at the south end of the temple. Stairs led to the 2nd floor and then to the 3rd. Solomon built and completed the temple, finishing it off with the roof, beams, and planks of cedar. The supporting structure along the temple was cedar beams, and the rooms in it were 7.5 feet tall. The word of God came to Solomon, saying, "About this temple you are building, what's important is that you live the way I've set out for you and do what I tell you, following my instructions carefully and obediently. Then I'll complete in you the promise I made to David your father. I'll personally take up my residence among the Israelites. I won't desert my people Israel." Solomon built and completed the temple. He paneled the interior walls from floor to ceiling with cedar planks. For the flooring, he used cypress. The 30 feet at the rear of the temple he made into an inner sanctuary, cedar planks from floor to ceiling, the Holy of Holies. The main sanctuary area in front was 60 feet long. The entire interior of the temple was cedar, with carvings of fruits and flowers. All cedar, none of the stone was exposed. The inner sanctuary within the temple was for housing the chest of the covenant of God. This inner sanctuary was a cube, 30 feet each way, all planted and plated with gold. The altar of cedar was also gold-plated. Everywhere you looked there was pure gold. Gold chains strung in front of the gold-plated inner sanctuary. Gold everywhere, walls, ceiling, floor, and altar. Dazzling. Then he made 2 cherubim, gigantic angel-like figures from olive wood. Each was 15 feet tall. The outstretched wings of the cherubim, they were identical in size and shape, measured another 15 feet. He placed the cherubim, their wings spread, in the inner sanctuary. They combined wing spread stretched, and the wings were the space of the room. The cherubim were gold-plated. He then carved engravings of cherubim, palm trees, flower blossoms on all the walls of both the inner and the main sanctuary, and all the floors of both inner and outer rooms were gold-plated. He constructed doors of olive wood for the entrance of the inner sanctuary. The lintel and doorposts were 5-sided. The doors were also carved with cherubim, palm trees, and flowers, and then covered with gold leaf. Similarly, he built the entrance to the main sanctuary using olive wood for the doorposts, but these doorposts were 4-sided. The doors were of cypress, split into 2 panels, each panel swinging separately. These also were carved with cherubim, palm trees, and flowers, and plated with finely hammered gold leaf. He built the inner court with 3 courses of dressed stones topped with a course of plated cedar timbers. The foundation for God's temple was laid in the 4th year in the month of Ziv. It was completed in the 11th year in the month of Bul, the 8th month, down to the last detail, just as planned. It took Solomon 7 years to build it. Acts chapter 7, verse 1 through verse 29. Then the chief priest said, "What do you have to say for yourself?" Stephen replied, "Friends, fathers, and brothers, the God of glory appeared to our father Abraham when he was still in Mesopotamia, before the move to Haran, and told him, 'Leave your country and family and go to the land I'll show you.' So he left the country of the Chaldees and moved to Haran. After the death of his father, he immigrated to the country where you now live, but God gave him nothing, not so much as a foothold. He did promise to give the country to him and his son later on, even though Abraham had no son at the time. God let him know that his offspring would move to an alien country where they would be enslaved and brutalized for 400 years, But God said, I will step in and take care of those slaveholders and bring my people out so they can worship me in this place. Then he made a covenant with him and signed it in Abraham's flesh by circumcision. When Abraham had his son Isaac, within 8 days he reproduced the sign of circumcision in him. Isaac became father of Jacob, Jacob father of 12 fathers, each faithfully passing on the covenant sign. But then those quote-unquote fathers, burning up with jealousy, sent Joseph off to Egypt as a slave. God was right there with him, though. He not only rescued him from all his troubles, but brought him to attention of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He was so impressed with Joseph that he put him in charge of the whole country, including his own personal affairs. Later, a famine descended on the entire region, stretching from Egypt to Canaan, bringing terrific hardship. Our hungry fathers looked high and low for food, but the cupboard was bare. Jacob heard there was food in Egypt and sent our fathers to scout it out. Having confirmed the report, they went back to Egypt a second time to get food. On that visit, Joseph revealed his true identity to his brothers and introduced Jacob's family to Pharaoh. Then Joseph sent for his father, Jacob, and everyone else in the family, 75 in all. That's how Jacob's family got to Egypt. Jacob died, and our fathers after him. They were taken to Shechem and buried in the tomb for what Abraham paid, and a good price to the sons of Hamor. When the 400 years were nearly up, the time God promised Abraham for deliverance, the population of our people in Egypt had become very large, and there was now a king over Egypt who had never heard of Joseph. He exploited our race mercilessly. He went so far as forcing us to abandon our newborn infants, exposing them to the elements to die a cruel death. In just such a time, Moses was born, a most beautiful baby. He was hidden in a home for 3 months. When he could be hidden no more, he was put outside and immediately rescued by Pharaoh's daughter, who mothered him as her own son. Moses was educated in the best schools in Egypt. He was equally impressive as a thinker and an athlete. When he was 40 years old, he wondered how everything was going with his Hebrew kin and went out to look things over. He saw an Egyptian abusing one of them and stepped in, avenging his underdog brother by knocking the Egyptian flat. He thought his brothers would be glad that he was on their side and even see him as an instrument of God to deliver them, but they didn't see it that way. The next day, 2 of them were fighting, and he tried to break it up, told them to shake hands and get along with each other. Friends, you're brothers. Why do you beat on each other? The one who had started the fight said, Who put you in charge of us? Are you going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian yesterday? When Moses heard that, realizing that the word was out, he ran for his life and lived in exile over in Midland. During the years of exile, 2 sons were born to him. Psalm chapter 127, verse 1 through verse 5, a pilgrim song of Solomon. If God doesn't build the house, the builders only build shacks. If God doesn't guard the city, the night watchman might as well nap. It's useless to rise early and go to bed late and work your worried fingers to the bone. Don't you know he enjoys giving rest to those he loves? Don't you see the children are God's best gift, the fruit of the womb, his generous legacy? Like a warrior's fistful of arrows are the children of a vigorous youth. Oh, how blessed are your parents with your quivers full of children. Your enemies don't stand a chance against you. You'll sweep them right off your doorstep. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 28 through verse 30. Troublemakers start fights. Gossips break up friendships. Callous climbers betray their very own friends. They'd stab their own grandmothers in the back. A shifty eye betrays an evil intention. A clenched jaw signals trouble ahead. This was a daily reading from the Message version of the Bible, read to you by Bible in a Year.